The Giants and all the fans are pleased you chose baseball. And I mean, with all the monumental things that you were involved with, you've actually got a Giant game named after you, the Brian Johnson game.
Yeah.
And there are two things that happened in that game that are just fresh in everybody's mind. There's a double play, or there's getting out of a bases loaded, nobody out situation.
That's right.
Rod Beck was on the mound and the Dodgers loaded the bases. And then there's your walk-off home run into the wind.
Yeah.
I heard you on an interview a couple years ago. I listen to KNBR a lot. And you talked about a mound visit when Dusty Baker came out and the bases were loaded, nobody out. That was a game the Giants had to win. And you told a story about how you calmed everything down. And can you talk a little bit about that now?
Yeah, sure. I've gotten a lot of feedback from that part of the story that I told. So yeah, happy to share it again. So for those people that aren't familiar with the situation, it was tied 5-5 late in the game, bases loaded, nobody out. Rod Beck had come into the game. He used to be a great closer. Now he's kind of on the latter stages of his career. Doesn't have his great stuff. The fans were booing Rod, understandably so. You kind of get immediate feedback from fans, right? Whether you're going good or whether you're going bad, they'll let you know, which is, that's part of the relationship. But Rod was, brought in a difficult situation, bases loaded, nobody out against the Dodgers. Piazza, Mondesi, Eric Karros, all these guys that have been rookies of the year and been all pros or, great ball players and great hitters. So it's a tough situation. Put it in a synopsis, a tough situation. Dusty comes out to the mound. Our manager, Dusty Baker, comes out to the mound. Bases loaded, nobody out. Tie score, 5-5. Must win game. We have to win this game in order to keep pace with possibly winning the division. And the Dodgers had won the division a bunch of times. We hadn't won the division like 13 years. So we were completely the underdog here. So 52,000 people at Candlestick Park, the old Candlestick Park. Everybody's a day game. Everybody's getting excited. So Dusty comes out to the mound. And basically he's concerned about Rod's, mental state. He's concerned about Rod's confidence. So he's like, hey, man, look, you're our guy. You're going to do it. I'm behind you. We're all behind you. Go, kick them kick their behinds type of thing. And so Dusty's, finishes his pep talk, which he's fantastic at doing, as really, making people feel encouraged and confident. But then he leaves. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm thinking, instantaneous. I'm like, is that it, Dusty? Is that all you got? You got, we could use a little guidance here. But so then my mind just kicked into gear. I was like, okay, I'll take care of this. And so Shooter was Rod's nickname. He looks at me. He's like, what do you want to do, B? I said, well, here's how it's going to work. This is how it's going to go down. So we're going to start off Zeal with a slider. Then we're going to throw a little split away. And then we're going to freeze him on a fastball inside for strike 3. Then we're going to get Eddie Murray coming up because Eddie was in the on-deck circle. I said, we're going to get Eddie up here. We're going to throw him a split to begin with. He's going to roll it over to Jeff Kent. And then we're going to get out of here in a double play, and then we'll be done. How's that sound to you? And he looked at me, kind of sheepishly looked up. He's like, that sounds pretty good. And so we said, okay, cool, let's do it. So let me pause the action here. So I would do this quite often. This is one of my, I took a lot of pride in being a catcher. Sometimes being a hitting catcher, you don't get a lot of credit for being a catcher, a good catcher in different ways. Calling the game and really helping work with my 12-person pitching staff was really something I took a lot of pride in. I really enjoyed the most. It was what I enjoyed the most out of all of the baseball responsibilities I had. But anyway, so I would always describe a scenario that was a positive ending to whatever trouble my pitcher would be in. I would always do that. Mm-hmm. However, it never came about. It never turned out the way I described it, but it doesn't matter. My point was to focus on short-term success and be able to focus on executing pitches for my pitcher, working one guy at a time, and then just focus on the small things. Just execute the small thing and we can get big benefits from it. So I would always describe the scenario, but it never came to fruition except this day. On this day, it came through exactly the way I described it. And so sure enough, we got Todd Zeal frozen on a fastball inside because he would stand right on the plate. He's like 6'3", 6'4". So he was susceptible to that. Eddie Murray came up with a Hall of Fame player, coming off the bench after sitting for 9 innings, and he's probably about 38, 39 years old, and he doesn't move real well. Rolling over a ground ball to JK or Jeff Kent, our second baseman. I was at home plate. I had good footing. I thought Mike Piazza was going to take me out. He was coming down from third base. I thought he was going to take my legs out and not let me finish the throw, but he didn't. So we were able to get rid of the ball quick enough to get Eddie down the line. Double play happened, and then we came up and would win the game later. So that's my story.
Well, when we exchanged emails and texts, I mentioned that I remember my circumstances. And my circumstances are, I'm a sales guy and I'm making sales calls.
Okay.
So I'm listening to the game and I'm in downtown Oakland, actually Chinatown.
Okay.
And I've got a customer to call on and I'm in a parking lot and I'm listening and the bases get loaded and I can't take it. So I go in and make the call and I come out and the game's still going on. And I'm saying, it's got to be pretty good because the game's still going on.
So there's no Twitter, there's no social media, so you didn't know what had happened, right?
Right. If there was that, I'd have had my phone and I'd be in the waiting room of my call. So then it's about 2 miles away from my house. So that's my last call of the day.
Okay.
As I'm driving home, I'll let you talk about it, but you hit the home run.
Okay.
And I hear that, I hear Robinson make the call.
Yeah, Ted Robinson, absolutely.
Right. My son's 10 years old and he's as sick as I am when it comes to baseball. But I get in the house and I can't say anything because him and my wife have this homework routine. So they're at the kitchen table and Brian Johnson just hit a home run, but I can't talk about it because that'll just mess up the mood. Right. So it was just a wild day, but could you walk us through the home run?
Yeah, sure. So 12th inning, we were exhausted. You know, the Dodgers, we had jumped out to like a 5-1 lead. The Dodgers had come back. Eric Karros hit a ball that should have been a home run earlier in the game, but it got knocked down by the wind that you mentioned before. The wind was, as it always does, a candlestick, right? It was blowing hard. I never called it 3-count. It was always Candlestick Park for me. And so, it was honestly probably one of the best games I was ever a part of in my life. Just back and forth, defense, offense, stolen base, pitching, strategy from managers, everything you could imagine was there. It's a day game, San Francisco Giants, Los Angeles Dodgers, meaningful late September game, 52,000 people just enjoying themselves to death. And we were enjoying ourselves as well. So 12th inning, we had, so I'm going to be leading off. My goal is just to get on base. My goal is I was a line drive guy. So I like to hit line drives. I like to use the whole field. So my thing is just hit a double and let somebody else hit me in and we'll be good to go. And so I'm getting up to the plate and I was a very aggressive hitter. I would be ready to hit. I would swing it. I'm happy to swing at a pitch from the on deck circle if you could. I was ready to hit. Once I stepped on the field, I was ready to hit. So I didn't need to take a pitch. I didn't need to wait and see what the guy's doing and gauge everything. No, that's what 6 months of working in the offseason has been doing. That's why I get up at 7 o'clock in the morning to work off the tee. That makes me ready to go once the game starts. So I'm ready once the game starts. Anyway, 12th inning, I'm ready to go. I know they brought in a reliever. I didn't pay attention to who it was. I didn't care who it was. I had no problem hitting left-handers or right-handers. As it turned out later, Mark Guthrie was the reliever, left-handed guy. Apparently, he had got me out 3 times before. I think I was 0 for 3 on him when someone had told me later, but whatever. I didn't care. So I went 0 for 3. That means I'm probably going to go 4 for 6 for the next 6 times I face him. That was my mentality. So I come up. He throws me a fastball over the plate. I put a good swing on it. My first couple steps out of the box, I'm like, okay, I got that good. But as the third and fourth step comes out, I'm like, that might get out of here. That might have a chance. So by the time I hit the bag, I realize it's gone. So once I hit the bag, I realize it's gone. Instantaneously, the crowd roars, but all of a sudden, the synthesizer in my head, I don't know how God put us together, but he turned down the synthesizer of the noise. So when I rounded the bases, I could not hear a single crowd noise. It was like a muffled muffled screaming that I could hear that was like off in the distance. But when I was running around the bases, I could hear the pitter pat of my feet on the dirt and hitting the bag around. That's all I heard going around the bases. It was like the, my age here, right? The boy in the plastic bubble with John Travolta. That's
Right.
what I think of when I look back on it. But anyway, so I come around the home plate. Everybody at home plate is getting ready to mob me. And as I hit home plate, all the sound comes back. The synthesizer is no longer in play. All the sound comes back, and we just party and have a good time. And that was it. That was my moment of glory. It was funny because a lot of people bring that up because the Brian Johnson game and so forth and so on, which is great. I love every minute of it. But in my career, I had 11 different times where I had walk-off hits on the professional level, 6 different times at the major league level, and 4 of them were home runs. So really proud of all the moments that made up my career. And I have no problem just talking about this one at all.